plants around the edge. Because when we did the first one, there was a little bit haphazard, and so there's some big shrubs in one of the corners, which make it hard for people to see when they're turning. It also makes it hard for us to go and water and do the maintenance, because we're hand watering this, because the city of San Francisco does not want to give us irrigation. So that's also something that we're learning, right? How to create this in a sustainable way. Because we are right now trying to do another one in collaboration with one of the schools. The school children are really excited. They want to participate and be a part of this because they're very aware of climate change, but we can't have them go across the street with a hose. It's just not safe. So making sure that we get that irrigation before we move forward with the project for the next one. And can these pollinators, places become a toolbox? So it's not just the planting, but it's a space where we can maybe incorporate paths and sitting and dog way stations, because a lot of people go and walk their dogs there. So being mindful to the users, the educational signage, and maybe incorporate some public art into the space and make it something that's more attractive, right, for everybody. So, this is what we're looking at. The project is sort of like this, right? And we're here to talk about how you can do what you can do in your landscapes. And so I think that it needs to be something that's in collaboration, right? We need to look at what are the things that we can do to make our cities be really livable and resilient and beautiful. And this beautification of cities is something that I really want to highlight, because I show you the pictures when it looks really beautiful, but towards the end of the drought, it dries out, because like I said, we hand water, and we just can't hand water enough to keep it green year round. But this is part of drought tolerant plants, right? They go dormant at the end of the summer. They look dead. So I get all kinds of calls. This median is dead. What? Take it out. Rip it off. This is a shameful thing for our city. Horrible. Who's doing this? Da 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 da. And so the educational aspect, right? Like, what is our concept of beautiful, and how we need to transform that? So I heard about the lawns, right? Like, lawns serve a purpose. If you can have a very active space and play sports, okay. But if it's just in the middle of a median and is not serving any purpose, it's really dead, right? So changing our notion as to what a beautiful landscape is. And it's not a very manicured garden. It's not a botanical garden that's like constantly changing their perennials, their annuals, and the season, and it's like constantly making us feel good about looking at something beautiful. It's about creating a healthy, resilient habitat that sometimes looks dead to us, but there's actually all kinds of little species living in there, and spiders doing their spider webs, that if we go and prune all of this so it doesn't look bad in our concept of what a beautiful English or French garden is, then we're not really creating that habitat. So I invite all of you to think about what our concept of what a beautiful garden is, right? Because it's an important paradigm shift that we need to start to consider. And then how we connect these public spaces and take ownership of public spaces. Because I think that there's also this concept that like, oh, well, the city is gonna do this, the government is gonna fix this. Well, no, they're not, right? It's up to us. So we need to take ownership, not just of our little patch of garden in front and in the back of our house, but beyond that, the public space that we occupy as we walk to the store, the public space in our schools, in our work environment, all of those spaces. We are the stewards of those spaces, and how can we start to transform them? How can we get children involved so they are the stewards of their schools and they're taking care of them and they're having that connection to their landscape? So that, I think, is the most important aspect of things, that we take it beyond our gardens, that we take it out into the street and out into being involved with our cities, with our municipalities, with our elected officials, that we're active in that. So thank you very much. There's also, before I finish, I just want to, like I said, a few things and a call to action to all of us about what we can do. And this has been said before, but I'm just going to highlight it again. The transformation of our gardens, right? So that we are creating healthy habitats. The concept that the lawn doesn't really serve much in terms of that, and that we should change it into something that's more livable. Please, 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 I'm sure you're all already on this bandwagon because you're here and you care, but no chemicals in our gardens, right? They're not needed. They're just absolutely not needed. No fertilizers. We can use organic fertilizers. We can use, build our soil with mycelium, with microorganisms, with our compost. That's all we need. Pee, the best fertilizer. So just go pee in your garden. In terms of the systemic pesticides, not just that we're not applying systemic pesticides to our garden, but that the plants that we're using to create our gardens also come from a grower that has a commitment to not use any systemic pesticides, right? Because that's important, it's huge. And the more that we ask for that, the more that it becomes an awareness that growers are like, oh, well, people keep asking for this, maybe we should stop doing that. So in our website also we have a list of growers that have that commitment. So buy from them, support them, right? Support the people who are doing the good work. Same with your food, organic, right? This is not only good for your health, but it's also good for the environment, for all of the species that are pollinating these plants. So go to the farmer's market, get to know your farmer, talk to them. Maybe they're not, certified organic, but they have a commitment to not use pesticides. And that's what we want. We want to have a relationship with the people who are growing our food and know how they're growing it, where they're growing it, and that they're healthy, that their employees are healthy, that their soil is healthy. And we support them with our funds for that. And then we're healthy, right? And our children are healthy, so that's great. Compost, easy. Compost in your garden, build your own soils, have that connection that, like 40% of our food goes to the landfill. It's ridiculous. So if we can keep that at least at home and build your soils, that's just a big plus. We talked about harvesting your water, rainwater collection, but maybe also reuse of gray water. And some of you laughed about the peeing in your garden, but it's really just a shame. Like someday our children are gonna look at us, or grandchildren, and be like, "What? You used to dump 2 gallons of clean drinking water because of a little pee?" Sorry, but we really need to think about how we reuse gray water in our home and be more mindful about our water. We've been so fortunate to have an abundance of water and resources, but this is it's changing. So we need to be mindful about our decision and how we use those resources. And educate, right? Talk to everyone. Please, after this, go out here and talk to your children, your grandchildren, all of the children in your life. Their children are really becoming aware of the situation with climate change because this is what they're going to have to live with. But tell them about what are the things that they can do, because I think that sometimes it just feels so big and daunting. It's like, what can this little person right here do for this? So giving them some choices, and I think that food that we eat, how we treat our spaces, our garden, it's a huge impact that we can do every day. And I will leave you with learning to love, to appreciate your bugs. The bugs in your gardens, right? They're just beautiful, they're amazing, we meet them, love them, and spread the good word to everybody. Thank you so much.